Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, families, and pets, I present to you Jewelpet, Our Love Story, narrated by Rinko Kugyoku, Part 3, Staying at Pink's House.
After that, I spent every day up at the Jewel Cafe. I always had lunch with them, often a picnic by the pool or up in the treehouse. If it rained, then we took the picnic up to the attics and sprawled on my great-grandmother's cast-off chairs. Blue lay on her chaise lounge with a shawl round his shoulders, pretending to be his grandmother. He imitated her imperious voice while Wes spluttered into our ginger beer. I stayed at the Jewel Cafe for dinner too, and once actually spent the night at that Jewel Cafe. Garnet and Safi weren't considered old enough to dine with the adults, and had eggy toast and a glass of milk in their nightgowns, supervised by Momona. I felt like a little girl in my crumpled daisy dress and my schoolgirl headband. I hoped that might make us friends, especially as Momona suggested we share Abby's room. Garnet and Safi were sharing the old nursery. Pink's room was white and gold. There was a pink luster jug filled with oxeye daisies on the windowsill and a painting of angels above the mantelpiece. Though I'd be sharing her pretty white bed, but Momona trundled an old canvas camped into the room for me. It spoiled the whole effect. It makes your lovely room look ugly now, I said apologetically.
Oh, well, it's just for one night,
she said, sighing. She slipped out of her kimono and sat at her dressing table in her skimpy petticoat. Unwinding the beads from her hair, she started brushing it vigorously. It made an amazing crackling sound, as if it was alive. Stop staring at me, she said. Sorry, I said, but how could I help watching her? I took off my own, feeling very self-conscious, and quickly pulled my white nightie over my head. It was freshly starched, and Auntie always used its blue in the wash so that it shone eerily white in the lamplight.
If I wake in the night, I shall think you're a ghost,
said Pink. Maybe I'll make weird moaning noises and frighten you, silly, I said, climbing into the camp bed. But then you can put that snake on your arm so you can make it hiss at me and frighten me back.
You're such a weird girl.
She picked up the snake Banglash had laid on her dressing table.
Do you like it? Desiree gave it to me. She's very generous. She gave me this kimono too.
She picked it up and rubbed it against her cheek.
It's silk,
she said. I know, I said. Silk feels lovely.
The other evening Alistair Michael tried to stoke it.
She told me. How horrible.
Yes, he's positively disgusting. I can't understand why Blue keeps inviting him here. I suppose he thinks she's clever because he drones on and on about boring things like philosophy and politics. It think he's simply tedious. So does Desiree,
said Pink.
She's rather marvelous, isn't she?
I suppose, I said doubtfully. What do you think of her mother?
I can't stand Lady Arabella. She's incredibly spiteful.
Yes, isn't she? She called me a pert little nobody, I said, wincing.
That's nothing. I heard her telling Kanan to keep an eye on me because I was a little troll up in the making, the way I was flaunting myself.
Pink tried to laugh to show she didn't care, but her voice wobbled.
That's hateful, I said.
Poor Desiree, it must be vile to have her as a mother. Kanan's bad enough because she forgets we hear half the time. When Blue was little, she left him in his perambulator under a tree and wandered off to paint. She didn't remember him for hours. And when she ambled back at the end of the afternoon, he was shrieking his head off. She thought it was funny.
I'm so lucky my mother was wonderful, even though she's dead now, I said.
Dead, and never called me mother,
Pink declared. I blinked at her.
It's a quote, silly, from a play.
She told me. Blue Knight said he wanted to put on a play in the garden, I said. I think it was going to be a Midsummer Night's Dream. You'll probable Betty Shiana. She's queen of the fairies.
I know,
said Pink, laying down her silver hairbrush, switching off the lamp and climbing into bed. I'm not sure the villagers will like it. Not if it's full of fancy words they can't understand, I said. I know Kiari thinks it will be a love literature, but they might laugh. My mother wants me to dress up for the Attack Chance anime, I said. It will be such fun. I can't wait to see Rory in a dress,
said
Pink. I though say resented me saying us as if I was part of the family. Or maybe she was just going to sleep, because in a minute or twa heard her breathing heavily. She didn't snore though. Perhaps Pink was too dainty to do such a coarse thing. I feared I might snore terribly. Ruby often said I did. Wakey wakey, stop snorting like a warthog. You're a little girl. I often cried when I tried to get her up. I though she was teasing, but what if it was true? I have no idea if I snored or not during the night. So that's the trouble with Pink. However, she is too dainty to do such a coarse the thing, but she's okay.